and we drive your business. My name is Anthony Sabale and I'm your host for Financial Markets. Now, like I promised, we are going to have a guest who is very special and unique. You know, we won't stop talking about this until you actually start making a move. We are talking to Mr. Mubale Mugalia, who is a team leader at Sunglass Investments. Mr. Mugalia, you're most welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Yes. Now, to start with, you know, collective investment schemes list over time, you know, the topmost, you know, some of the topmost investments, with the Capital Markets Authority declaring 1.15 trillion, you know, that has been invested in collective investment schemes. Why is this?
Thank you, Anthony. And I'm also very thankful to Smart TV. This is my third time to talk about investments. And I think I'd promised that I will always come back to talk to the public around investing.
Yes.
Now, we have a report that came out from Capital Markets Authority this week that collective investment schemes, which most people call unit trusts, have surpassed 1.1 trillion.
Yes.
That was significantly or ahead of the budget that is stipulated in the National Development Plan. According to that plan, we're supposed to hit 1 trillion by 2025. And this is testament that we are doing something right because the public has responded. The expectations that we had were definitely much lower, but what we've seen, the interest or the appetite from investors has actually outpaced even our own expectations. So we are very, very happy about that. The second point I would want to make is that as a country, we are starting off a relatively low base in terms of or the history of the investing environment is not as long as in a number of other markets. And we are happy that we are on the right trend. We are happy with the growth rate that we are seeing in Uganda, and it is quite impressive. I think that capital markets is one of the sectors starting off a low base, but the growth rate is quite encouraging, and we are thankful for Ugandans to take up that kind of action.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about the unit trust. You know, everyone has which they see unit trust or collective investment schemes. Absolutely. Like some people call them. In your own view, as a team leader for such a big investment category or company, what is a unit trust and how does it work?
Thank you. So, you know, if we had this conversation 10 years ago, the word unit trust in itself would be a very, very strange word. We are excited that at least a section of the population has tested how it works, and we continue to see a lot of interest from new investors. So to describe the unit trust, I would want to describe it in terms of what exactly are we solving for the general public, because a unit trust can mean different things to different people. Our mission at Sunglass Investments, the way we are looking at a unit trust as a solution for investors, is we want to make idle money a little bit more active. We want to have a mission that there are different pools of funds in different hands, whether it's individuals, whether it is companies, whether it is NGOs. Our feeling is as long as there is money somewhere, it should be working, it should be active. And our mission is then to try and have every one of us have an investment account which you can use with ease, and as your money sits there, it should earn you a return on investment. So if I were to paint a picture, if you go to Luigi I think Luigi is known as a swan.
Yes, definitely.
And if you compare that picture to, say, our River Nile, where the water flows majestically, between the two you can see a stark difference.
Yes.
Both have water. One is a little bit stagnant, the other has flowing water. I would want all of us to adopt that kind of energy, that we can turn our stagnant funds into some sort of free-flowing energy that works for us. And since money is relatively scarce, the most we can do from it, the better for everyone.
Wow.
Yes.
So it's you're saying it's this pool of funds compared to River Nile. You have these small rivers joining to form this big river.
Absolutely.
Now, let's look a little bit about you as Sanlam,
Yes.
in particular, how you actually tend to customize this to yourselves. Do you get this money and invest it in a bank? Do you get this money and buy land and then later generate profit? How do you use this money profitably so that your customers or clients actually can benefit from this money?
Absolutely. Now, at Sanlam, maybe I can also give a bit of a background around Sunglass Investments. Within Uganda, we have been operating for coming up to 19 years now. Primarily, we've been tending to corporate institutions. A little more than a year or so back, we launched our unit trust, our own unit trust, which we call the Sanlam Income Fund. The Sanlam Income Fund, or the thought process that went into it, was very simple. That we find it a little bit expensive to manage, say, Anthony's money. If you want to invest 100,000, it's quite expensive to manage 100,000. But if 10,000 Anthony's came together, we would be able to manage that money better. We would be able to generate an economy of scale, and you can then benefit from a return that would have ideally been a preserve of larger institutions. So our thought process was, the primary concern that investors have in Uganda is safety.
Yes.
Okay, investors want to know that their money is safe. Then the second question they ask, as the money is being kept safe, please add on to that.
Yes, and
add on to that, isn't it?
Yes.
As you keep it, please work.
Work with it.
Work with it. Work for me. In a nutshell, what we then do is, based on those expectations, we then find suitable investments that can answer. And that for the Sanlam Income Fund, what we do is, with the pool of money, we go out and buy government securities, that is treasury bonds and bills, which we've talked about on TV for some time. And we also buy some deposits.
Fixed deposits.
Fixed deposits with
in Uganda.
In Uganda.
Okay.
But because we are going as a large pool, the rate we negotiate for is on behalf of thousands of investors, and therefore the rates that we're able to generate for you are much higher than if you try to negotiate on a personal basis.
Yes. Wow.
Then the other element that we provide for is a lot of flexibility, that you can top up your account relative with ease, and you can also draw from your account with relative ease. What does this mean? This means that at any one point in time, we need to have some sort of cash available, that when any investor wants to draw from their account, we actually have cash to pay them. So as investment managers, we've mastered that art of balancing the expectation of our investors and also providing that liquidity or that cash available to them anytime they need to draw down on it. So that balancing act is what drives us to invest the way we are investing. Provide safety, provide assets that can generate income, and also provide that liquidity, the cash that is available to draw on if an investor wants to
pull out. Yes. Let's talk a little bit more about the security. of the money. Yes, like you said, the most worrying thing people have is security.
Absolutely.
Yes, Sanlam is not a bank, it's not a government institution, and I'm going to put my money there. What happens if Sanlam closes? People have all those questions on their minds.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit more about how people can actually feel secure when investing with Sanlam, especially the unit trust.
Absolutely. Now, we are privileged in Uganda that we actually have regulations or an act of parliament that puts in place, the guardrails for these pools of funds.
Yes.
Right now, we are talking about 1 trillion. And our projections, we are actually looking at growing to about 4 trillion as an industry. This is not money that you can, the general public can afford to wish away.
This 1 trillion is only in collective investment schemes, not the other capital markets like stocks and what?
No.
Only in the unit trust.
Collective investment schemes.
Okay, and your target is 4 trillion?
As a market, I think we can get to 4 trillion.
4 trillion, yes. Okay.
I can give you, if the 1 trillion as a percentage of GDP is less than 1%. There are markets, much bigger economies, where that ratio of collective investment schemes to GDP is as high as 30%. Our thinking is we can get to at least 5%.
Yes.
We would have moved in the right direction. 5% puts us at about 6.5 trillion, but we think let's get to 4 trillion and see how then we can advance that conversation. So if we are projecting 4 trillion, there must be guardrails, and usually government institutions or regulators come in to provide those guardrails. We are blessed to have an act of parliament, which is the Collective Investment Schemes Act. The act has been in place for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yes. And I said that if we're having these conversations 10 years ago, it would sound very strange. But even 10 years ago, we still had the guardrails.
Yes.
And they had been in existence for 10 years. But we've seen...
The unit trust was somewhere else in the rest of the world. It was already there.
They've been operating for
in Uganda,
almost 100 years.
In Uganda, we just started.
Yes, I would say that the adoption
of the market
has been much better in the last 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
Compared to 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Meaning this is actually a new thing in people's eyes and minds.
I think so. I think people have been paying attention. I think Ugandans are cautious by nature. We first watch, maybe we test with something small and then see how it works. Then we can
go all in,
go all in or use it as a day-to-day tool, which is a good thing. I would recommend all investors to be very cautious because
test the waters and see.
Yes. So we've actually even had experiences of investors. They first test with 100,000 investment. Later on, they do then come in with 1, 2, 3 million kind of investments after understanding exactly how the unit trust works. So we have these guardrails that have ensured that we've not had any collective investment scheme, disappear with people's money. If I were to describe the framework, the Act requires that the investors' funds are separated from, say, Sanlam's funds. So the fund itself would be like an institution of its own. And that institution then goes out to hire service providers. It hires a bank for safekeeping.
Okay.
It hires a corporate trustee to provide governance and overall oversight over those funds on behalf of the general public. And then also the investment manager comes in to provide professional service to that pool of funds. And what happens is any of those providers can be replaced by another competent and licensed provider, and the pool continues. Yes. So we believe that framework in itself provides those sorts of controls that investors' funds are protected. Then unit trusts go a step further in terms of engaging.
Yes.
In terms of engagement. I can give you an example. We are having an annual general meeting for the Sunglass Income Fund on the 16th of June, where investors into this fund can air out their views, akin to an annual general meeting of shareholders. So all providers are accountable to investors regularly, and investors also have access to their accounts. They can see what is going on. They can ask questions, and if they feel they're being mistreated, they can actually run to the Capital Markets Authority to register a complaint. We believe that these safeguards and options that investors have are fundamental in ensuring that we can get to 4 trillion without hiccups. That's our thinking.
Before going to a break, we're going to talk about the intent and why people should actually invest with these collective investment schemes. But before we even get there, this scheme, does it have a minimum requirement that, like you said, 100,000 or something, or someone can start barely with whatsoever they have?
That's a great question, and I want to answer it in 2 parts. What Sunglass Investment is actually doing for the income fund, the Sunglass Income Fund, and also what other players in the market, because it's a competitive market.
Yes.
It's a very competitive market. We provide for a minimum investment of up over 100,000.
Okay.
I think it is similar to what someone would invest in terms of a minimum on government securities.
Yes, bonds and
bills. And then you can top up as low as 50,000. Whenever you feel like.
Yes. Okay.
The word of caution would be the model of investing would also matter. You have to take into account the transactional costs, because in Uganda moving money around is not free of charge. So I would invite investors to think about what is the most flexible means of topping up frequently.
Yes.
Case in point, you can do a deposit in the bank or a branch. You can do a deposit with an agent bank.
Agent bank, yes.
You can do with mobile money. So there are different options, but each one comes at a different cost. So
and that cost is not for you.
No,
unfortunately. Yes.
It's the cost of the different platforms.
Yes.
If it's a banking platform, it comes with its own costs. If it's a mobile money platform, it comes with its costs.
Okay.
I would recommend that investors think about it. But in terms of frequency, we are open to you investing on a more frequent basis.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I picked is you go there, at Sanlam you start with 100,000.
Absolutely.
The next time you want to put, you have to have that
a minimum
gorilla.
50,000.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very interesting right there. We are going to go into a short break. The conversation has just got started. We are still talking collective investment schemes until it sticks in your heads, until you start actually realizing your savings you're keeping in that box can make you more money. Yes. And so we are coming back with the intent. Why should you actually invest in this? With what purpose should you invest? And as well, the accessibility of your funds. If at all you have a problem, you want to pull out very quickly, what are the means you can go through so that you can get your money? Don't go anywhere. My name is Anthony, and we are still talking financial markets. See you around.